When you talk about people like Colonel Gordon Cooper, or Gordo as his contemporaries called him, you're talking about a genuine, true American hero. You're talking about a man that not only was willing, but placed it all on the line for his government and his contemporaries. He was absolutely upfront that he believed that, yes, we have been visited by intelligence from somewhere besides this planet.
Cooper flew on Gemini, and he is the first to fully disclose absolute visual contact with UFOs. When he was a fighter pilot over Germany in the 1950s, he chased UFOs. And he said his squadron was chasing these UFOs that were flying already at 30,000 feet. These things were way up there. And he said they just, every once in a while, they were in formation. He said they were under positive control. He believed they were intelligently driven craft, and they would just go like this. He said, zip. Now, what would the G-forces do if you had mass? They would destroy you, and he knows that. But if you're zero mass, you can go zip. You can bounce off the walls all you want. You're not going to experience any G-forces.
Gordon Cooper had some extraordinary things to say. He actually filmed a UFO at an Air Force base.
His crew was out filming 16 millimeter. They saw a UFO land off the runway, and they filmed it. They developed the film. Cooper looked at the film. He said it was good film. There's a flying saucer in there, close range. Would be the best footage in the world today in the whole UFO movement. They sent it to the Pentagon, and they were never allowed to see the film ever again. So somebody in the Pentagon, in some file, has Cooper's footage.
I was having some cameramen film the installation of a precision landing facility that we were putting in right on the edge of the dry lake. And this saucer flew right over them and put down 3 little gear and landed out on the dry lake bed. And they went out to, picked up their cameras and moved on out toward him filming. And he lifted off, put the gear back in the well, and climbed out at a very high rate of speed and disappeared. At that point in time, there was no doubt in my mind that this vehicle was made at some other place than here on Earth.
Dr. Edgar Mitchell had a transcendental experience on his way back from the moon. He has come forward and said that we have recovered bodies, we have recovered craft, and we've had them for quite a long time.
What I set forward in my first film, Evidence: The Case for NASA UFOs, was that NASA was looking in the invisible, that the human eye only sees the rainbow spectrum from red to violet, but beyond the wavelengths of red to violet are ultraviolet near, ultraviolet far, and ultraviolet extreme, and below the color red you have infrared, microwaves, and radio, and so forth, television and radio. So there's a whole spectrum that we don't see where these craft can be vibrating, and that is where they show up on a regular basis.
Dr. Marina Popovich is genuinely a heroine of aviation. She was an officer in the Red Air Force. I had an opportunity to first meet Dr. Popovich in early 1991 when she was making a tour here in the United States. And I was able to ask her a number of questions that I had regarding a Soviet space mission that took place in 1988-89, which was the Phobos 1 and Phobos 2 probes that the Soviet Union had launched to Mars. Subsequently, the Russians lost the first probe, Phobos 1, roughly a month or so after launch. Phobos 2, however, made it to Mars. During this mission, according to the Soviets, the probe encountered something that surprised and shocked the Russian Space Agency. They were able to receive one photograph back from the Phobos 2 probe prior to its destruction. Ultimately, the Russians stated that their probe was struck by this huge anomaly, this unknown. So this is an extraordinary admission from the Soviets at that time, from the Russians at that time.